This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
The time is 6:15 p.m. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Here's the news edited by Dilini Gunawardena and read by Tilani Pires. The Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena declares the commencement of the National Vesak Week. Plans are underway to celebrate the Vesak festival on a grander scale. Landslides warnings are issued to 3 districts. The petition filed by the Vedda chief is fixed for hearing. The third batch of Sri Lankans is evacuated from conflict-bound Sudan. And on international news, the UN says that civilians are facing catastrophe as 100,000 flee fighting in Sudan. And on sports news, tennis, Sri Lanka is to vie at the BNP World Cup in Portugal. The Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena declared the commencement of the Vesak week today, hoisting the Buddhist flag at Deepadutta Temple, Kotahena. The maiden Buddhist flag hoisting took place at Deepadutta Temple, Kotahena in 1885. Addressing the gathering, the Premier reflected the relationship between Thailand and Sri Lanka, which spreads across Siam, Amarapura and Ramanya chapters. Prime Minister Gunawardena gratefully remembered the contribution made by Deepadutta Temple in order to make the island a centre for Theravada Buddhism. This year's Vesak festival is set to be celebrated on a grand scale, both nationally and locally, as per the instructions of President Ranil Wickremesinghe. During a press conference on the Bauddhaloka Vesak Kalapaya held today, the chairman of the All Ceylon Buddhist Congress, Nimal Vakishta, mentioned the plans to celebrate the Vesak festival in a grand manner. Bauddhaloka Vesak Kalapaya is scheduled to be held on May 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th, 2023, in collaboration with the Presidential Secretariat and Prime Minister's Office in Colombo. On Vesak Poya Day, observance of SIL will be organized along with various other programs such as decorating the Vesak region with flags, pendants, lanterns, light bulbs, conducting flower processions and displaying pandals and lanterns. The Bhakti recital will be held near the main stage of the BMICH, while Vesak Dansal will also be held. The Meteorology Department has issued a warning of landslides to 3 districts. The rainy weather is expected to continue in many parts of the island over the next few days, according to the Met Department. The National Building Research Organisation, NBRO, has issued landslide warnings for Haldamulla and Passar areas of Badulla district, Kagala, Kottapulla and Pasgod areas in the Mathura district. Due to the high risk of landslides in these areas, there is a bounce falling onto roads, homes and other structures. The National Building Research Organisation informs the residents of these areas to be on alert. This news broadcast comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
Sri Lanka Insurance, like a father, like a mother.
A writ petition filed by the chief of the Vedda community, Uruvarige Vanilatto, has been fixed for hearing on September 8, 2023 by the Court of Appeal. The petition has been filed against the Mahaweli authorities' decision to deforest their traditional homelands in the Ramakano area and hand them over to private companies for various cultivation purposes. The relevant petition was taken up before a bench of judges consisting of Justices Sobita Rajakaruna and Dhammika Ganepola today. The petitioning Vedda chief alleges that the Mahaweli authority has decided to subject his traditional homeland in the Ramakan area to deforestation and to give away the relevant land to private companies for maize cultivation. The petitioner seeks an order to annul the relevant decision of the Mahaweli authority, claiming that this act causes severe injustice to his community. The third batch of Sri Lankans who were evacuated from the Republic of Sudan amidst the ongoing conflict arrived in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia yesterday. This was confirmed by both the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Ali Sabri, and the Embassy of Sri Lanka in Saudi Arabia. Accordingly, a group of 11 Sri Lankan nationals were evacuated under the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia evacuation program yesterday, bringing the total number of evacuees to around 30. Meanwhile, a batch of 18 Sri Lankans residing in Sudan have rejected to be evacuated from the conflict-bound country and repatriated back to Sri Lanka, stating that they would lose their jobs if they leave. That ends the local news for now.
Virtual Claim Assistance. Sri Lanka Insurance Motor Plus launched its newest value-added service, Virtual Claim Assistance, which allows customers to have their vehicle inspected and assessed remotely by a qualified inspector after an incident. This service eliminates the need for customers to attend physical inspection and assures that their work is properly assessed, giving customers peace of mind. Sri Lanka Insurance Motor Plus, the best from Sri Lanka Insurance.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
The Air Chief Marshal Vivek Ram Chowdhury, Chief of the Air Staff of Indian Air Force, called on the Commander of the Air Force, Air Marshal Sudarshana Pathirana, this morning at Air Force Headquarters. The Chief of the Air Staff was received upon arrival by the Commanding Officer, SLAF Station Colombo, Air Commodore Suresh Fernando, and was afforded a Guard of Honour, which was conferred by the Colour Squadron of the SLAF. The Indian Air Chief is currently visiting Sri Lanka on the invitation of the Commander of the Sri Lanka Air Force that aims to facilitate discussions on the development of cooperation between regional air forces, joint training, technical knowledge exchange and expansion of maritime surveillance and operations.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
On Watch Light this evening, the National Dengue Control Unit said that nearly 1,900 dengue cases were reported last week alone. 55 MOH divisions in 15 districts have been designated as dengue high-risk zones. A recent report issued by the National Dengue Control Unit indicates that these high-risk zones include the MOH divisions belonging to Colombo, Gampaha, Kalutara, Kandy, Matale, Hambantota, Galle and Mathura districts. In addition to this, some health and medical divisions in Jaffna, Battikaloa, Trincomalee, Puttalam, Kurunegala, Kagala and Ratnapura districts are also included in dengue high-risk zones. That came to in Watchlight. Moving on with world news and the headlines first. UN says that civilians are facing catastrophe as 100,000 flee fighting in Sudan. Red Cross calls on Israeli authorities to release Adnan's body. Japan is to ban upskirting in sweeping sex crime reforms. The UN has said more than 100,000 people have fled Sudan since heavy fighting broke out between rival forces on the 15th of April. Officials warned of an all-out catastrophe in fighting if fighting does not end. A further 334 people have been displaced within Sudan. Fighting is continuing in the capital, Khartoum, between the army and the paramilitary rapid support forces, despite a ceasefire due to be in force. The International Committee of the Red Cross in Israel and the occupied territories expressed their condolences to Adnan's family, calling for Israel to release his body. The ICRC tweeted, calling on the Israeli authorities to release Mr. Adnan's body so his family can mourn and arrange a dignified burial according to their customs and beliefs. The organization had visited the detainee several times since his arrest in February to monitor his condition. The lawmakers are introducing Japan's first laws against taking sexually exploitative photos or videos of others without consent. The bill against photo voyeurism would prohibit acts such as upskirting and secret filming of sexual acts. Until now, such criminal cases had to be prosecuted under local prefecture laws, which greatly vary in scope. The bill is part of a wide overhaul of Japan's laws on sex crimes, which will also expand the definition of rape. Offenders would face imprisonment of up to 3 years or a fine of up to 3 million Japanese yen. Back to world news headlines. UN says that civilians are facing catastrophe as 100,000 flee fighting in Sudan. Red Cross calls on Israeli authorities to release Adnan's body. Japan is to ban upskirting in sweeping sex crime reforms. That ends world news.
Development news.
The Planters Association of Ceylon announced that nearly 1 billion rupees will be allocated towards recommencing the construction of over 500 housing units and 19 early childhood development centres to create a sustainable livelihood for the plantation community across the country. According to the Plantation Human Development Trust, the construction is expected to complete in 6 months for the benefit of 500 estate workers and their families in Gaul, Ratnapura, Kandy, Hatton and Nuwara. That came to you in Development News. Coming up, sports news, the Sri Lanka Tennis Association has named a 4-member squad to represent the country at the BNP Paribas 2023 World Team Cup Wheelchair Tennis Tournament from May 1st to the 7th in Portugal. The Sri Lanka Wheelchair Tennis team will be spearheaded by world number 2 Suresh Dharmasena, with Pradeep Kumar and Gamini Dissanayake making the lineup under the guidance of coach Ignatius Vijayakant. Following the completion of 4 regional qualification events for Africa, the Americas, Asia and Oceania and Europe, a total of 43 teams from 24 countries will compete in the men's, women's and junior events at the ITF's annual flagship wheelchair tennis team event. That came to you in Sports News.
Go ekak tiyana youth ekata life ekේ change ekata niyamata set wenna as wahagena dagapu hina habe karanna youth ekata niyamata set wenna friendship ekata menna.
The all new NSB Ithru account, NSB IAM, a plan for your dream.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
The LOLC Advanced Technologies, a fully owned subsidiary of LOLC Holdings, together with Brown & Company PLC, has introduced a revolutionary rice fortification technology to the local market, which locks in nutrients, vitamins and phytochemicals within the rice kernel. The technology is a groundbreaking achievement that addresses the major drawbacks of currently available technologies for this purpose, such as dusting, coating or the extrusion method. That was Business News.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Go ekak tiyana youth ekata life ekේ change ekata niyamata set wenna as wahagena dagapu hina habe karanna youth ekata niyamata set wenna friendship ekata menna.
The all new NSB Ithru account, NSB IAM, a plan for your dream.
Economic news, courtesy of
LONC Finance is taking the power of innovation to the next level, winning 5 golds at the Technovation Awards 2022, leading the digital revolution with cutting-edge interbanking digital payments. LONC Finance claims the overall gold award, whilst also claiming an extraordinary victory in digital banking.
On to economic news. Sri Lanka's Minister of Foreign Affairs, Ali Sabri, has held discussions with the President of Asian Development Bank on Sri Lanka's recovery process. Minister Ali Sabri, who is in Incheon, South Korea, to attend the 56th annual meeting of the Board of Governors of the ADB representing President Ranil Wickremesinghe, said he had a productive meeting with the ADB President. During the meeting, Minister Sabri has expressed Sri Lanka's gratitude for the excellent partnership and cooperation with the Asian Development Bank during a challenging period for Sri Lanka and for supporting our recovery process. That was economic news.
LONC Finance is taking the power of innovation to the next level, winning 5 golds at the Technovation Awards 2022, leading the digital revolution with cutting-edge interbanking digital payments. LONC Finance claims the overall gold award, whilst also claiming an extraordinary victory in digital banking. LOLC Finance will continue to innovate with the next generation digitalization of financial services, delivering a superior customer experience.
Weather Report.
The prevailing showery condition over the island is expected to continue further during the next few days as well. Showers or thunder showers will occur over most parts of the island after 1 p.m. Showers may occur in coastal areas of the western province and in the Jaffna, Kilinochchi, Mannar, Puttalam, Galle and Mathura districts during the morning as well. Fairly heavy showers, about 100 millimeters, are likely at some places in the eastern and Uva provinces and in the Polonnaruwa district. Fairly heavy showers, above 50 millimeters, are likely at some places elsewhere over the island. That was the weather report. And now to end this news broadcast, the main points once again. The Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena declares the commencement of the National Vesak Week. Plans are underway to celebrate the Vesak festival on a grander scale. Landslides warnings are issued to 3 districts. The petition filed by the Vedda chief is fixed for hearing. The third batch of Sri Lankans is evacuated from conflict-bound Sudan. And on international news, the UN says that civilians are facing catastrophe as 100,000 flee fighting in Sudan. And on sports news, Sri Lanka is to vie at the BNP World Cup in Portugal. That ends its news broadcast.